Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Uh, Welcome everybody. Om Ishwara. Verse 3 and verse 4. Okay. Let's see what's on here. So we seen yesterday that Krishna was very vague in answering Arjuna because Arjuna's question was wrong. He was asking which one is better, Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga, or in the context of Bhakti Yoga, so to speak. It is Saguna Bhakta or Nirguna Bhakta, who is the highest devotee, And then he explained that that cannot be compared, as we know, and not to hurt the feelings of Arjuna. He just he kept his answer in a way which was extremely polite. And fundamentally, he says, so the people who meditates upon me as Saguna Bhakta is the highest devotee, and the people who meditates upon me as Nirguna, as a Nirguna Bhakta, meditate upon Nirguna Brahman, reaches me. So one is the highest yogi, and the other reaches me. So both are good, and it serves to everyone. And the verse 3 and 4, having restrained the sense organs, being even-minded towards everyone and everything, and being interested in the welfare of other beings, all beings. Some of these devotees meditate upon the imperishable Brahman, which is indefinable and manifest, operating, incomprehensible to the human intellect, immutable. Again, here, it is incomprehensible. We have to be careful with this word, because it implies that it is unknowable, And in fact, the imperishable Brahman is, knowable. And the Upanishad says again and again, the Gita says again and again, it's the knowledge that we came here to know, is the knowledge that must be known. Brahman is that the purpose of all incarnations, so we could say, so that we could get to know the true nature of reality, the true nature of the self, the Atma, the I. So it is knowable. So when it says it's incomprehensible, it's not that it's unknowable. It's knowable, but never as an object of knowledge. Because every object of knowledge needs to be constituted by the gunas, and Brahman is not constituted by the gunas. And then the gunas, if it would be constituted by the gunas, we could access it through the five senses, The five senses, they can capture all attributes of all gunas. By having no guna, we cannot use the sense and the mind to know Brahman. But as we know, it is knowable, it must be known, but only as the subject, the true nature of the person, of the seeker, searching for the nature of reality, searching for the truth. So it's absolutely comprehensible once you look for it. At, I mean, we see satya, we see consciousness, which is the true nature of the observer. If you look upon the observed, you're never going to get it, and it is unknowable. But if you look at the nature of consciousness, the only reality, and then it's absolutely known. But does not have any attributes, and then you don't know it the way you know the configurations of the gunas of Prakriti of Maya. You don't know that way, you know as your own conscious existence. I am consciously existing here, and I have no doubt of my conscious existence. Therefore, it is knowable. And it's undefinable because any definition, it goes in regards to the properties and attributes of matter and energy, gunas. You define as this and that, which purpose it serves, what are the functions, what are the characteristics and qualities of this piece of matter here, this piece of metal. And it's unmanifest, although it is the ground on which the manifestation is superimposed. Brahman by itself is unmanifest. It appears to be manifest due to this trick of Maya, but actually it is unmanifest, meaning to say it never came to existence to later on get out of existence. The physical material universe appears to be coming to existence and then taken away from existence every day when we go in deep sleep, and from time to time, according to our scriptures, during the pralaya. And this Brahman, being the substratum, is all pervading. It does not change, as we know. Nirvikara, immutable, and immovable, does not move and act, and it's beyond time. So the people meditate upon my true nature as Nirguna Brahman, attain me, and only these people will attain me. I'm going to have to pause our thing here. I was on a project. Okay, so we missed something here because I forgot to press the recording again. It's not the first time that happens. We were just looking into the concept of duality and non-duality, Dvaita and Advaita. You can only know Brahman, that which is said to be incomprehensible, meaning to say unknowable. You can only know Brahman as your own self. And that takes us into non-duality. I know Brahman as the subject, absolute conscious principle, period. That's the only way we can know Brahman. Oh, but anybody can say, I know without knowing. I mean, those people who know, they know the difference between, intellectual understanding and direct aparoksha jnana. Whereas there are some other people who follow Nirguna Ishvara Dhyana, otherwise called Nirguna Brahman Dhyana, as a part of Jnana Yoga sadhana. And this Jnana Yoga was presented in five introduction, the fifth and highest level of sadhana. So we have seen two levels of bhakti yoga, of karma yoga, or two levels of upasana yoga, and then jnana yoga, which is the yoga of understanding the final declarations of the Upanishad. Therefore, in these three verses, Krishna is introducing jnana yoga, which is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, as we know. So we're going to listen to the teachings that somehow re-examining our day-to-day experience of life to prove us that we are not what we think we are. We are not the physical body, we are not the emotional body, or we are not the mental body, the intellectual body. None of those five koshas we are. So what we are Turiya, we are consciousness, we are that which is behind everything, in fact, the only reality. You know? So all these five levels, these five bodies, the five koshas, the kind of five bodies, and all of these is a superimposition of the gunas, the prakriti of Maya upon consciousness, the only reality. So in technical language, it is Nirguna Brahman meditation is called Nididhyasana. We know that there are some people who practice Nididhyasana, which is meditate upon one's highest true nature. So I don't like much this thing of higher or highest because it gives an idea to people that so I'm meditating upon my higher nature, but how stages in the higher nature of the ahamkara there may be until you get to the highest nature. So it gives a sense of gradation. So true nature or untrue nature, period. You understand? I find this thing about higher, highest a little bit uh, dangerous. So I avoid this word, which is meditate upon my true nature, the only reality. I know I was meditate on my highest nature, but then I came down a little bit. Now I meditate on my higher nature. Your higher nature. What is your higher nature? You know, how many higher? Higher in relation to what? You know, to the lower nature, and how low you can go to define what is your lower nature. You know, it's your true nature or apparent nature. Some other people meditates upon this absolute Brahma, Brahma Paraman, the Nirguna Brahma, howsoever we want to refer to it. There are some others who meditate upon this Nirguna Brahma. What is the description of Nirguneshwara? Several words Krishna uses. All these are the Upanishadic words. Each word is a significant word. I will rearrange the verse for the sake of communication. He takes the verse now and reorganize that upon to make his exposition more easy now, more organized. And it says about that Brahman is imperishable, indefinable, unmanifest, open reading, incomprehensible, immutable, immovable. So there are all these characteristics that we know that are features of Brahman, of consciousness. So he most probably he took one by one and wrote it down and organized. I say I'm gonna go about from this to that because and then there is a gradual progression in terms of whatsoever didactic. So, Swami Paramarthananda is extremely carefully in presenting the teachers in a structure, didactically organized and so on, that everybody can may be able to understand. So he did that. First description we take from this verse, these two verses combined, and Nirguneshwara is one's highest nature, means Sarva Idriya Agocharaha. It's not perceptible by any sense organs. So sense organs, perception and inference is not going to reach. It's the highest nature. And it seems that in Sanskrit, the verse, it implies highest nature using this word avyaktaha, which means sarva indriya, mean not available through the five senses. Okay, the highest nature is not available through the five senses. We have five senses, and each one is capable of perceiving one of the attributes related to one of the gunas, sound and so on, taste, vision. So every one of these senses can only access properties of certain gunas. Okay, so you can never. Oh, I lost my vision. I say it doesn't matter. I'm gonna use my right ear to replace one of my eyes. No, it's not designed for that. Everyone is going to be able to connect to its guna-like objects or properties. So everyone, smell and so on. The fivefold attributes coming from the five gunas. In fact, the whole universe, the whole physical universe, but is nothing but a blend of Sabha, Spasa, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, which means to say it's the fivefold attributes originate from the three gunas and the five elements, of course. Any doubt about this passage? That's why it's called prapanchaha. Prapancha means what? Five. The word consists of five different elements, base segments, in the form of elements related to one of those five senses, okay? Because the first, the gunas, and then the five elements takes place, and then naturally the intelligence, supreme intelligence, say, okay, now I have five expressions of Maya here, so I need a receptor. Even in the human body, in the anatomy, we have receptor sites, to receive certain nutrients, certain things, in our body, in our brain. So we need to have the receptor. The receptors are what? Is living creatures, jivas, and they have to have these five senses to capture the development of everything coming from the five basic, how you say, the five original elements, okay? We're talking about air, space, air, fire, water, and earth. So our sense organs, they come, some say simultaneously, first the manifestations of these five elements, subtle elements, and then the sense organs begin coming, and then an infinity of different jivas capturing differently according to the structure of one's own apparatus, capture different what? The five elements, which is present here technically. Everything is in the universe is but an experience of a blend of sabda, spasa, rupa, rasa, gandha. So the the fivefold attributes coming from the five subtle elements, originate by the gunas and then the elements, and then they break down to, or they unfold to create the physical, the chemical and physical varieties of elements. And then when you start mixing it, all this infinity of different elements all originate from the five subtle elements. And they start, and then no wonder we have numberless configurations of objects, each one of them different from, unlike any other. That's why it's called prapancha. Five segments. Our Nirguna Krishna Ishvara does not have any of these attributes. That's the trouble. We know only thing who have the attributes because we have the equipment only to capture configurations made out of the five elements. You understand? We can only capture that. We have these five senses, and then from there, we have a direct experience through perception, and then we do a lot of inference and whatnot, and we take what we read here and there, heard, studied, and then we develop some knowledge. Some knowledge are good, some knowledge are bad, but we make an effort to get knowledge that way. And all comes from these five original elements. But the problem is that Nirguna Brahman does not have any of these five attributes. He does not any attribute derived from these fundamental, basic five subtle attribute elements and their direct attributes. Okay. So the attribute of space, the attribute of air, the attribute of fire, and so on. So we get all our perception through these elements that goes on unfolding, adding the previous ones properties, and then and then when you come to the earth, it has five properties. Okay. So what about Adaram, Madhuram, Vandanam, and all? So beautiful, Lipt Krishna. What about that Krishna? Swamiji is challenging Krishna here. According to Krishna himself, they are all non-original Krishnas. Okay. So he's referring to how about these deities? Uh, how about this Namarupa, this deity called Krishna? No. What about that Krishna that we know, this beautiful deity? And then Krishna himself said, no, that is my apparent nature, you know. But my original nature is Nirguna Atma, Nirguna self, Nirguna consciousness, existence. So we have seen in a previous chapter that was referred to para and apara prakriti. So para prakriti is one's true nature as nirguna atma. And then the Krishna appearing here, defined by its namarupa and the attributes of this deity called Lord Krishna, is not the original Krishna. No. It's like Christ. There is, since I was very young, I heard, that Christ is a deity, or whatever, that came here and expand his consciousness in a way that he got what some people used to call, that goes for Christ consciousness, and then Buddha consciousness. This all points to something such as original consciousness reflected to produce a deity. So Christ consciousness, that is Krishna's consciousness, not the original Nirguna consciousness. So the original Krishna is Nirguna Brahman. It is Paraprakriti. The non-original Krishna is just a reflection that occurs from original consciousness producing this deity, which is an expression of the creator itself. I like this concept that the creators, just presents itself as avatars, just to say, so now I have to come and interfere here for this and that reason. So they are agents, so I like the concept that they are just Ishwara that decide to come down, and so on. So all these non-original Krishnas, they are Maya Manusha Vesa. Maya Manusa Vesa. You start with Maya Vesa, but you have to transcend the Maya Vesa. And there are some people who meditate upon Avyakta. Okay, Avyaktam is the nature of Brahman, that which cannot be accessed by anyone of the five senses, because it does not have any properties relate to the five senses, so originate by the five senses. So it's another name for the the Nirguna Brahman. No? There are many things which cannot be perceived by the sense organ, but they can be conceived by the mind. This is a topic that I like very much because objects can be perceptual objects. We can contact these objects through the five senses. And some objects, they are conceptual objects. but a conceptual object is an object. And any conceptual object is based on perceptual objects because we're gonna construct concepts upon concept to create a notion that is founded on perception of objects. Okay, it's all go even philosophies, they begin from the base of perception. So let's see what Swami says about conceptual. But they can conceive by the mind. There are so many emotions that are not even mental constructions, but they are feelings, sensations that they are interpreted by the intellect. So the mind is going to conceive. Emotion is, this is